Hi, I'm Rochelle. The current event that I chose to talk about or discuss is the school shooting that happened in Minneapolis. 2 children were killed and several others were hospitalized. I chose this because I feel like it's relevant to my life. I'm a teacher, and just days prior to the shooting, I participated in the active shooter training called the ALICE training for teachers in order to prepare us for situations exactly like this. So there's a lot of things that are going in my mind, and I looked at it through the lens of chapter 1. And what is policy. Like chapter 1 was all about the who, why, what of policy, social welfare policy. And I realize that this is a very charged subject, and I hope that I'm going to convey and approach it from the place that I'm actually intending on coming from, and one of concern and sensitivity for the experiences of others. I do not know the experiences of my classmates, and so I want to be very sensitive to everybody's experience to this. I feel like there are three main issues at stake here for me, and one is the belief that, for me, I have a belief that all children deserve to be safe while they're at school. The second belief that I hold is that when guns are in the wrong hands, they are extremely dangerous. And then the third is that we have a mental health problem in our country, and I feel like when we have school shootings, it's not just one or two things happening in isolation, everything is happening together. And I also believe that we have neglected to come up with policy that works to prevention of school shootings, because we have such differing beliefs. And chapter 1 told us that when we have a lack of policy or a lack of agreement on certain what is the word? When we have a lack of consensus with certain situations, then that stands in the way of policy getting made. And I find that to be tragic in this situation. Not only do I find that tragic, it is that everybody, I feel like nobody wants to take accountability and address the place that guns hold in this equation, because people also have a strong belief in their right to bear arms. And if a policy, from my perspective, if a policy was to be enacted involving guns in the school shooting, I think that a lot of people are afraid that their right to bear arms would be compromised. So from my perspective, that's how I see it. I do see that people, I think that I don't know the psychology behind people who choose to carry out school shootings. I'm actually pretty interested in knowing a little bit more about that. But I do know that anybody who makes that choice is probably mentally ill. And so I think that this is a really complicated issue that involves guns, security at school, and mental health. I'm super concerned about and I'm sure, like, this just happened, I'm sure there's going to be more articles that come out that speak, and we're going to learn more about it. But right here in this moment, I've heard politicians and the media blame certain groups in my view, as an attempt to push accountability onto someone else. And right now, I feel like they are doing that with the transgender community. The person who carried this out was transgender woman, and they're attributing their choices and actions to whatever that looked like for that particular person. I find that very dangerous and concerning. people can sometimes leap to conclusions in that, oh gosh, this is something that we might see more in this community, and it's an already marginalized community. So I'm quite frankly, I'm concerned about claims like that that's made in the mainstream media. The second claim that's been made in mainstream media has been about how possibly there is a tie to I think it's a depression and anxiety drug, a class of drugs that is used to treat mental illness. And right now the media is trying to draw a conclusion based without any kind of research or evidence that school shootings have increased. The frequency of usage of this drug has increased. So therefore the two are related. And that also is concerning to me. Because that might inhibit other people from actually taking advantage and using the drug for their own benefit. And it also, again, it stigmatizes mental health, and we've done so much work to counteract that. So my question for everyone is today, this seems to be an elusive situation. Like, we cannot figure out policy to prevent school shootings. And I think that's for a lot of different reasons. I'm wondering if you can tell me if you have any ideas or any thoughts on what could get us closer to that. Because one thing that I feel like we all can agree on is that this school shootings and kids being scared to be at school is just really unacceptable.